On the morning of August 26, 2026, something extraordinary happened high in the Himalayas. Within minutes, a massive wall of water, mud, ice, and rock came rushing through the valleys near the Nepal-Tibet border. Looking at the videos, you might think a huge dam had burst. But there is one important detail. There was no concrete dam. The mountain created the dam itself. So how did this happen? The story begins high above the Lhende Khola, a tributary of the Bote Koshi River. At around 8:37 in the morning, an enormous mass of glacial ice and rock suddenly broke away from the mountains. The collapse was so powerful that seismic instruments detected the ground shaking. Initially, this was reported as an earthquake, but scientists later determined that no earthquake had triggered the disaster. The enormous collapse itself had shaken the ground. The ice and rock then thundered down the steep Himalayan terrain and entered the river valley. And this is where the chain reaction began. The avalanche carried enormous amounts of rock, ice, soil, and debris into the Lhende Khola. For a time, that material blocked the river. Imagine placing a giant wall of rocks and ice across a fast-flowing river. Water keeps arriving, but it has nowhere to go. So it begins collecting behind the blockage. In effect, nature had just created a temporary dam. But unlike an engineered dam made from reinforced concrete, this barrier consisted of unstable rock, mud, and ice. As more water accumulated, the pressure increased. Eventually, the blockage could no longer hold. It failed. Suddenly, the trapped water was released together with enormous quantities of mud, rocks, and debris. The result was not simply a normal flood. It was a fast-moving, debris-filled surge powerful enough to destroy infrastructure and reshape parts of the river channel downstream. And there is another important part of this story. This river system has experienced disaster before. In 2025, only about 14 months earlier, another major flood struck this border region after the rapid drainage of a glacial lake in Tibet. Now the Lhende Khola has flooded again, this time following an enormous ice rock avalanche. Scientists are still investigating exactly what caused the August 2026 glacier collapse. But researchers warn that warming temperatures can destabilize high mountain environments by melting glaciers, reducing the support provided by ice, and changing freeze and thaw cycles. That does not mean climate change alone caused this specific collapse, but it does mean the Himalayas are becoming an increasingly important region to monitor. And perhaps the most remarkable lesson from this disaster is this: a dam does not always take decades to construct. Sometimes a mountain can create one in minutes. And when that natural dam fails, communities many kilometers downstream may have almost no time to react.